us.
So here's a question for you guys. What do you get if you cross Aishwarya Rai with Voldo from Soul Calibur and some sort of giant spider? Well, the answer is probably something like Zafina. I'm doing my potato series right now where I'm recording myself playing Tekken Tag 2 on an old webcam so that I can argue for why I think some of these really cool older characters deserve to be included in Tekken 7 as future DLC. We talked about Kunimitsu yesterday, and I said that I think she's top of my list for characters I really want to see carried forward. But having thought a little bit more about it, I think I might actually have to give the top spot to Zafina. She's just such an interesting and unique character, and I'm going to talk about why I think so in this video. As for her sort of fluff, her backstory, she's a priestess of an order of warriors that live out in the desert and guard an ancient tomb that has this like evil god entity inside of it, and they're trying to prevent it from getting out or anybody else from getting in. And one day the tomb is attacked. Zafina kills all of the attackers by herself because she's that good of a fighter. And from that day on, she became the only guardian of the tomb. So she basically lives alone out in the desert. She has a sacred charge. I'm assuming she's taken some sort of vow of celibacy, but who knows, she may be getting some decent desert dick out there in the dunes. As for her nationality, it's one of those things that have been left intentionally vague by Namco, kind of like Leo's gender. I think Harada said at some point that she might be Egyptian or something. I don't think he knows either. For me, when I look at her move list, she has a lot of like moves like Tiamat and stuff like that sound very Babylonian. And it always made me think of that opening sequence in The Exorcist where Max von Sydow is excavating that effigy of Pazuzu, the demon that ends up possessing Reagan later in the movie. Sorry, that's not what that video is about. But that's, Babylonian stuff, so it takes place in modern-day Iraq. So I always had her down as Iraqi in my own mind. But I know I have a lot of Middle Eastern viewers who probably know more about that than I, so maybe you can fill the rest of us in. It's not that important. She's sort of geographically vague Middle Eastern. She's a priestess, a warrior, and her style is kind of that she takes the aspects of powerful predator animals like spiders, and she's kind of hunting and preying on her opponent. That's her aesthetic, and she looks really creepy a lot of the time in her animations. She's constantly twisting her fingers. If you look at her just normal crouch like this, she's kind of twisting her neck a little bit like a lizard. Then she starts licking her hands a little bit like a cat, or well, like a lot of insects actually do with like their I think they're called pedipalps or their mandibles. They're kind of cleaning them and stuff. So she's creeping, kind of insect-like, which I think is really cool. A lot of female characters in Japanese arcade games, you get either these like chippy, sort of really bright girl characters, or you get horse basically, and she's sort of her own thing, which I think is really nice. Now, one of the main reasons I want Zafina in the game is that she's the only Tekken 6 character that hasn't been carried forward so far. Everybody else made it in. Miguel, Leo, Elisa, Lars, even Bob. But Zafina hasn't been, and I think it's because she wasn't really popular in the games where she was included. Now, that's not really her fault. I think the reason she wasn't very popular is if you look at character usage statistics, it seems that most people want to play a very easy to use character that is simultaneously very high tier, very strong, right? And Zafina is, first of all, not a novice character at all. She's actually kind of advanced. She has a lot of different stances. She's going to take a lot of work. But then she was also not very high tier. She wasn't very strong in the older games. And so that's just, probably the reason why people didn't play her a lot. And if she was included in Tekken 7 in that sort of balanced and powerful incarnation of herself, that would probably give her a chance to find her own audience and for players to start appreciating her a lot. And I think she deserves to get that chance at least once before we sort of just throw the design out, because it's so unique. I mean, she doesn't spawn off of anything else. She doesn't share any moves with anybody else. She's not a palette swap. She's completely unique and her own, and her move list is huge with all these different stances and things. So it's a lot of creativity gone into this. It would be a damn shame to just throw it out before giving it an honest chance. Another reason I really want Zafina in Tekken 7 is if you look at a lot of her attack animations, they have this sort of beautiful fluidity to them, a lot of really cool animations, and she's sort of, emulating all these animals in her stances. I always thought that one thing, for example, that is really cool is if she goes into Tarantula, which is this stance, and you do a 3 kick, she kind of kicks you over the back like this, and it's obviously supposed to be like the stinger of a scorpion, and she's supposed to be kind of like a desert arachnid kind of character. So a lot of these really cool little flourishes in her animations, and in these older games, the technical capabilities weren't quite there to do that justice. If you look at the female faces of characters in this game, they look kind of creepy and awkward a lot of the time. But now that we're playing Tekken 7, which is this, a graphically beautiful game, it would be a chance to do not only like the gameplay design of Zafina justice for the first time, it would also be a chance to give her the visual update that she needs to do justice to. Like, she's obviously supposed to be a very beautiful character. If you look at the art of her, she looks amazing. She doesn't really translate that well into the actual game. And then a lot of these animations as well. Some of them look absolutely amazing, like, while standing 2 into Mantis like this. A lot of her throws, for example, very Valdo-esque, how she climbs her opponent and stuff. But then there are a couple of awkward ones, like back 3, the stomp, like that little dance thing looks kind of awkward. The upward 1+2, you can tell there's something not quite right about this animation, how she kind of flies forward weirdly. So it needs just a little bit of work, and it could honestly be like the most visually striking design of any character in the game. So she really deserves a chance for that reason. If we're going to talk a little bit about her moves, she has, the famous thing, the really cool thing about her is that she has these different stances. So let's start with the most basic one and then work our way forward. It's just going to get progressively cooler and cooler, by the way. So first of all, let's talk about Scarecrow. This is Scarecrow. You can tell she's kind of twisting her fingers in weird ways, like she's spinning thread with them. And you can transition into Scarecrow with almost any attack that uses the 3 button, because the 3 leg is the kick there, or the leg where she then lifts it up across her torso, and it's kind of like she's a spring-loaded crossbow kind of thing in this stance with this leg. Then she can let out these extremely explosive and high-powered attacks, like this 4. This is a 30 damage launcher, so it's giant, and then like this 1+2 is 33 damage. So for example, I can see just this little sequence being her wall combo, honestly, in Tekken. You put somebody on the wall, you do 3 1+2, like that. And because the first kick right there is 20 damage, and then that is 33, if you get the 60% wall scaling on that in the Tekken 7 system, it's probably going to be a really, really powerful, like above average damage wall combo for her. And a really cool one as well, because it's going to spike down, and then maybe you get a chance for some really decent Oki. So that's like a suggestion for what you could do for a wall combo. And then she also has a lot of poking attacks out of Scarecrow. You use it for combos and for mix-ups, but she can use the spring-loaded leg to swipe out her opponent. She can poke mid, she can poke mid-high, she can actually even go for the legs. And as you can tell right here, she actually has the ability to move in the stance as well. She can sort of hop around, she can even sidestep. But it's probably the most useful stance. And if you look at some of the standard combos, like a really simple one I used to do back in the day because I wasn't a good Zafina player, is just launch. This is down for 2, by the way. Another really cool thing about this is you can see how she kind of twists her neck during this attack, so that she's constantly looking at her opponents. She never takes her eyes off of them, even though they're in the air. So another really cool little thing about her animation. But like this, into just that, into Scarecrow, and then this string. That's 63 off of a standard launcher, which is decent. But then she also uses stuff like Scarecrow 3+4 for a bound in combos. Like, I think her bread and butter back in the day was something like this. This is laggy right now, so it's a little bit hard to get. There it is. Hey, look at me, I'm comboing like it's 2008. This is another really cool one, by the way. This is her down forward 1 standard generic mid poke, and then she can kick you like behind her back like that for a follow-up. And then, standard, you could put this in Tekken 7 just as is, because it could be like the safe high, or the punishable mid. She has that as well for down for 3, sorry, down for 1, 2, down for 1, 4, and down for 1, 2. So that's like something that exists on a lot of characters in Tekken 7. You could carry that forward and it wouldn't even have to be readjusted or anything. But we were talking about Scarecrow. So really cool stance, use it in combos. You have the option, by the way, of holding back off of some of these attacks, and she will put her leg back down, and you don't have to transition to Scarecrow if you don't want to, which I think is really cool. The next stance is even cooler. It's a Mantis. You can go into it from a lot of different other moves, like while standing 2, like her 2 throw, for example. And she can also use 4-4-3+4, hold down and go into it. So one cool thing you could do for this, it's not really a combo stance, it's more of a mix-up stance. Kind of her version of AOP, but don't worry, it's not nearly as annoying. Say, for example, you spin the opponent and then you do 4-4-3+4 for the combo ender, and then you can go straight into Mantis for the Oki. Really cool setup you could use. And Mantis I love, she's kind of like a big insect again. Her hands kind of become these big claws, and she's sort of swiping and tearing at her opponents. Really cool animations where she's like crawling around on the floor with these kicking attacks. She can move in the stance as well. She can step backwards, she can step to the sides, and she can even dash, but she can only dash in the forwards direction. But I think it's a really dramatic and cool looking stance, and you have the option of transitioning sometimes, but sometimes you have to go into the stance. So you can see how there's a lot of decision making going into playing the character, and that is probably why a lot of people, shy away from her. But if she's powerful enough that it's worth the effort, then more people will play her. So Mantis is really awesome. And then the final stance I want to talk about, the final one she has, is really my favorite because it's so cool. It's Tarantula. And you can tell she's kind of crawling on the floor, hunched over like this. And this is the stance where she's really emulating a spider. If AOP is, if Mantis is her version of AOP, then this is kind of her version of Hunting Bear. You can't move backwards or to the side when you're doing Tarantula, but you can certainly move forwards, and it looks like this. You can tell it's this really creepy crawl that looks, again, reminds me a little bit of The Exorcist. And this was so creepy back in the day that Zafina players could actually get mix-ups because of the hesitation this creepy crawl caused in the opponent. And she can kind of swipe at the legs, and you can tell how it looks a little bit like Hunting Bear, or go for these slow but really powerful big mid launchers like Hunting Bear. Really cool stance. And she also has stuff like, the Scorpion Stinger kick right here. She can jump forwards with 1+2. So a couple of really cool attacks from that as well. Overall, amazing stances. She can go in between them in interesting ways, and it just keeps getting deeper and deeper with this character. So if you want to be like a character specialist and you want to play something that is like striking, graceful, beautiful, yeah, you really can't go wrong with this character. If we're going to talk a little bit about just more basic move stuff, a really cool design choice for her block punishment is for 10 frames. If you want something really basic, you can do a 1-2 for jabs, but you can also do a 1-3. And you'll be able to get Scarecrow and go straight into stuff like Scarecrow 1+2 for a mix-up, which I think is great. And you can even use for optimal damage here at 1-4, which will give you 26, and then give you Tarantula. You will be at a frame disadvantage, but then again, you're in like this mix-up stance where you're spaced out, so maybe the -7 doesn't matter that much. But you can imagine, for example, say I'm playing my opponent here, I do a 1-4 and they block it. They try to swing because they think it's their turn, but I've rolled back into Tarantula, so I whiff punch with a Tarantula too. Maybe I go into Scarecrow or do some sort of powerful bound move right there. And you can tell how you could do like really cinematic and cool like combo video stuff with this character if you wanted to and get really good damage. So like visually just amazing and really just deserving of a visual update. Some other really cool attacks. She has this 4-4, which I always love. It's a quick knockdown high that you can use for a quick punisher, and then you get guaranteed down 2, as far as I remember, on the floor. And this down 2 could be like a great option for her for hunting people on the ground, hits grounded. Maybe she could get it guaranteed off of a lot of knockdowns and spikes. A lot of characters in Tekken 7 get, guaranteed floor stuff after a spike on the floor. But we could keep going forever with the cool moves. Back 1+2 is a generic low poke that she has, but it's not generic at all because it's giant range. It's kind of like a Dawson kind of move. She reminds me of Dawson in some ways. Another really cool low poke is down 3. Really good range. She's kind of rolling towards you while crushing highs. And then she steps on your toes like that, which I think is awesome. And you even have the option of Mantis by holding down here. So, go into this and then stay down here and do Mantis, or just stand right back up. Really cool options. She even has her own version of Asuka's cans. She has a bootleg hop kick when she needs it with an up 44. She has a down 4-2 for 16 frames, which is her fastest launcher, so she's one of those, which might annoy you. I think it's fine. She has like sidestep moves. She has all kinds of stuff. Like, we could honestly talk about this character as just different cool animations forever and ever and ever. I love it when she's like rolling down, rolling on the floor and doing these like spins and stuff. I like, what's the attack? I think it's like down. Yeah, there it is. And she can do that from Mantis, by the way, to stand back up. So the list just keeps on getting longer and longer, but you can tell how much creativity and just a design has gone into the character. And I mean, I hope you agree that it would be a huge waste to just throw it out. Because the character wasn't popular. Because if you make her strong, if you build it, they will come. And I would certainly do my part in terms of like playing the character and making tutorial content on her, because I'm very interested in playing her. It's been super enjoyable just mucking around in practice mode in Tag 2, thinking about this character and her like infinite potential. Like, her throw animations are amazing. She will do a lot of attacks where she kind of turns her fingers stiff and then stabs you with them, like in this side throw. Kind of like that. And yeah, just amazing stuff overall. Like I said, I could keep on going forever, but it's probably time to wrap this up. This will be my little petition for putting Zafina in Tekken 7, and hopefully I've convinced you that that is a very good idea. There's one more character I really want to talk about in one of these videos. I'm not going to tell you who it is yet. You're going to have to look forward to it. But maybe if you really like them, there are a couple more I could talk about that I think would probably deserve a spot. So maybe we'll make a couple more. We're just going to have to wait and see. I'll make the next one as soon as I have time to talk to you guys again, and I'm certainly looking forward to it. Hopefully you are as well. But for now, thank you so very much for being here, and I'll talk to you guys again very soon. Bye bye for now.